Hey, what's up everyone? Cam here, and today I'm coming at you from San Diego, California, and I'm back. I'm back from my trip in Tanzania, Africa, and I'll share a lot more about that trip in upcoming videos, but quickly I'll just say that it was absolutely magical. It was a really incredible experience, and I owe so much thanks to each and every single one of you who helped donate to my campaign to bring me there. So thank you so much. Asante sana, as they say in Tanzania, and I'll share a lot more in the future. Today's video is about the meaning of life. I got this question recently and people wanted to know what I thought the meaning of life was. Growing up, I really struggled with this question. Actually, this question kind of pissed me off because I didn't think that there was actually an answer to this question. So often we try to find what the meaning of life is, and we try to fulfill that using religion. So I grew up Catholic, and then when I was a teenager I was Christian. And this question of like, what's the meaning of life, comes from a place of wanting to make sure that our life is meaningful, that our purpose for being here isn't for nothing. And it comes from this idea of where we came from and where we go afterwards. So we want to live a good life so that we can go to heaven and be accepted. So for me, growing up that way was really frustrating because I knew that there was no way for us to truly know what the answer was to that question. There was no way for us to truly ever know what the meaning of life was. And yet we spent all this fucking time and all this energy trying to answer it. And we could go through our entire life not knowing ever truly what the answer was, and yet we just wasted our entire life. So for me, for a long time, I just refused to talk about this question, and I just didn't even think about it in my own life, and instead I just tried to live the best life possible. Now, during this time, my best life possible was me just being apathetic. Life is meaningless. Fuck it, I'm gonna play video games all day long. And then there was a shift. And that shift for me came when I decided that continuing to just wait until I die was a really bad strategy for living a really good life. And instead, I should try to pursue my life and pursue my dreams, pursue my passions with everything that I have, to really see what was possible and just how far I could go in achieving that. So instead of living from a place of apathy, I lived from a place of pursuing everything possible that I could ever imagine. And my life got a lot better, but then I came to a point in my life where I read a book called Denial of Death by Ernest Becker. And this book just left me completely depressed for 3 weeks. And it left me depressed because in the book it really showed me from a kind of rational standpoint how there is no meaning to life. There is no grand purpose in life. There is no higher power who has a giant plan for all of us. And actually, our desire to fulfill this question just comes from a fear of death. It comes from an anxiety that we all experience subconsciously that we're all going to die. So in order to deal with that anxiety that we all experience, we think about what's the meaning of life, because that will ease our anxiety. Now, what happened was I was super depressed for 3 weeks because I realized, like, oh shit, there is no meaning to life. So why should you live? If there's no meaning to life, why wake up at all? Like, why not just kill yourself and end it? But this is when I read another book called A Man's Search for Meaning by Viktor Frankl, which, if you guys haven't read that book, I highly recommend it because I think it's one of the absolute best books of all time. And in this book, Viktor Frankl talks about how the last human freedom that we all have as human beings is our ability to give meaning to our circumstances. So the last human freedom that we have, the ultimate freedom we have as humans, is our ability to give purpose to our life. So we don't have to wait and try and get our purpose from some other area, whether it's religion, our friends, our family, something else, society. And instead, we can define that for ourselves. We can define what our purpose is. We can define what a good life means to us. We can define what the meaning of life is to each of us. And what I realized after that was that the only purpose in my life that made any sense at all was my own happiness. My own happiness, not anybody else's happiness, mine. Now, to some people, this could sound incredibly selfish, like the only thing that you care about, the only purpose, the meaning of your life is your own happiness. What about everybody else? But here's the thing. One of the absolute best ways, especially for me, to live a great life, to find happiness in my own life, is actually by serving other people. This channel, for me, I don't get paid for this. This is all free. All of this content is free. And yet it brings me so much joy to my life because it's helping you. So although the purpose in my life was my own happiness, the best way to fulfill that was by helping other people. And I can just say that over the course of the last few years, as I've focused on that, my life has felt very fulfilling. So another thought on this topic is that we're living our life right now. In this very moment, life is happening. So we need to focus on how can we live a great life, how can we live a meaningful life right now in this moment. And for me, what I realized was there are certain things that really contribute to that. Yes, helping other people, serving other people is one of them, but another one is social connection. And because of that, the last few years, I've really focused on being more socially connected, calling friends. After this, I'm gonna call my uncle, finding ways to hang out with friends, traveling to hang out with friends, staying more in social contact, because social connection is one of the best ways to just feel really good about yourself and about your life. And that's something you can do every single day. It doesn't have to be this long-term thing. It can happen right now. So ultimately, for you, you need to define what the meaning of life is for you. You need to define what your values are. You need to define what brings meaning and purpose to your life. You need to define ultimately what those variables are, what those factors are that really leave you feeling inspired and motivated and fulfilled, full of joy and happiness. Society, religion, TV, movies, all this stuff, video games, all this stuff tries to fulfill those answers for you. They try to fill the void that you feel where you don't necessarily know what the meaning of your life is, and society likes to try to put all of this there for you. And so ultimately you have to define that for yourself, and the sooner that you do that, the sooner you can start taking action on it. And at least from my own personal experience, that's what has brought a lot more joy to my life. This trip to Tanzania is a perfect example. I really want to live a life of service where I'm contributing to other people, but not just talking about it, actually doing it. So going to Tanzania and being on the ground there was really meaningful to me, and I can't wait to do more of that in the future. So you have to find that for yourself, but I just really encourage each of you watching this, take a second, to take more than a second, take a lot of seconds to think about what is meaningful to you. What does bring you joy, and not what other people tell you should bring you joy, but what brings you personal joy. Think about that, think about what your values are, and think about at the end of your life, how are you going to be able to have a conversation with yourself knowing that you lived meaningfully? How can you know that you're not going to have regret? How can you know that you're not going to be one of those people, and it's very, very common, that the top regret that people have right before they die is that they didn't have the courage to go for it. They didn't have the courage to go for the life that they wanted. So how can you ensure that you're living right now in this moment and every moment from this point forward meaningfully? I don't know that answer for you. I can only do it for myself. But it's really important for you to think about that. So I hope this video helps you out. I hope that answers at least some aspects of how I think about this question, and maybe that sparks something for you to think about. But let me know what you guys think in the comments. I love to hear from you. Make sure that you hit thumbs up if you like the video. Make sure you hit like if you're on Facebook, and subscribe. I come out with 2 videos a week, Monday and Thursday, and I'm always trying to make better videos for you. So let me know what you think. there's any topics, any questions you guys have for me that you want me to answer, leave those in the comments and I'll talk to you soon. All right, peace.